Nick, Nicholas, Nicholas.
I'm short. I have to put this down. Okay, so skipping over my introduction because I just did that. I want to share a quick note because I just got a question about our Newman Network platform. So I just wanted to quickly say that if you are not a part of it and you want to be on the platform, you can shoot me an email. I'm going to need your email, your name, and your title, organization. That information. And you can send that to, if you'd like to write it down, it's Reilly at cardinalnewmansociety.org. So you can send me an email there. So, on the clicker. Before we begin our working group discussions today, I've been asked to spend some time discussing a topic that I believe is and will be increasingly important for all of your institutions in the years ahead. Collaborative initiatives across Newman Guide institutions. The title of my presentation is E Pluribus Unum, out of many, one. Traditionally, this phrase has been associated with our nation, but we think it also captures something important about the Newman Guide network. And that has been emphasized at this conference many times. Although your institutions differ in size, location, history, academic strengths, and student populations, there's a shared common mission, the formation of students in truth, faith, and virtue. And we at CNS believe that the future success of faithful Catholic education depends increasingly on each institution's willingness to go all in on their Catholic identity. The challenges facing higher education generally are not difficult to identify. Demographic decline, rising costs, growing skepticism about the value of a college degree in general, competition, and political and cultural pressures, to name a few. Although these challenges are not unique to Newman Guide institutions, there are a multitude of opportunities that arise from being a Newman Guide institution. So what makes this network unique is that it is not simply a collection of colleges, and now also elementary and secondary schools with similar academic interests. Your institutions are united by a shared vision of Catholic education, and that shared vision creates opportunities for collaboration. Again, we talked about this idea of oneness and unity. As a recent graduate from Christendom College, as I mentioned, I have personally experienced the fruits of a faithful Catholic education, and I've experienced how easy it is to connect to and relate with my colleagues, all other graduates of Newman Guide recommended colleges. And this past year, working as Newman Network coordinator, I have seen the fruits of collaboration and the vast potential found in advancing the Catholic mission as a group. So, a little bit about the goal of this presentation is basically just to introduce some things that I've seen, some initiatives of collaboration that I've seen that are ongoing or have been completed, and then also discuss some ideas that I've gathered from you all during meetings and in my various conversations for the future. So, following this presentation, we are going to be having our working group breakouts, and I see that all of you are very, very much itching to get there. So I'll keep this mercifully brief and basically just run through all of these initiatives. If you blink, you might miss them, so pay attention. And my hope is that maybe there might be one of these where you look at it and say, hey, we haven't done that enough, or hey, maybe this would be good to try, or actually go all in. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. So, without further ado, I've kind of split these into 4 sections. We have ongoing initiatives with K-12 schools, and ongoing initiatives with higher ed, and then future possible initiatives for K-12 and higher ed as well. And I just threw together some discussion questions that may or may not be useful, that you may introduce at your working group meetings. So the first one here, very simple. We've seen many very good dual enrollment, dual credit programs. So our discussion questions here could be, how can you structure these programs such that they attract the most students to your institution? And what are the reasons why a dual credit student may not eventually enroll at your institution? It's very easy. We all know about dual enrollment. There are also the initiatives with summer programs, working with the K-12 schools in the Newman Guide. Questions here are, have you found success in more specialized programs and camps? So maybe some of the larger institutions I know have leadership institutes, architecture programs, business, vocational, abroad programs. They might want to share with some of the other institutions that might not have those. And then also, how can you better promote these programs to Newman Guide, recommended K-12 schools, and what are the best practices for marketing these programs in general? So this, you'll see there's a theme of marketing in a lot of these initiatives as well. Our next one here, less for K-12, is going to be faculty and student outreach. So what are some good lecture topics that you can provide to Newman Guide recommended K-12 schools for guest faculty appearances, talks, and what are some good practices perhaps for training your own students in outreach to your local schools? And then moving on to higher ed, some things that we've seen. Working group collaboration. This one is very big. I've been working with many groups over the last year. I do want to take some time to highlight a couple of our groups. We have our career services group. I see John is here. And they've been a wonderful example of what we like to see from our groups, with regular meetings, idea sharing, inviting employers to come on and speak with the group, and sort of generally lifting each other up. And that's what they're all about. And then also our marketing and communications group is very active. And they're an example of a fantastic working group coordination. And I know Teresa, who's here, and Rolando Rivas have been very wonderful in planning, executing exciting discussion meetings for group members. And I guess some topics that they have covered include AI, relationships with vendors, leadership, and a lot of other things as well. And I also want to point out, for the marketing communications group, we also recently put together an anonymous survey, which has yielded a lot of very interesting results for the sake of discussion as well. Okay. The next one here, we have academic pathways, credit transfer. This is also a very basic one. You all know about 3+1, 4+1 pathways. The questions basically here are, what are the programs that you have to offer? What are the programs you want to work with? Maybe you have one in your head. So now is the opportunity to go speak to that institution and set up these pathways. Some examples include the CUA, Masters in Business Administration, Ave Maria Law School, with some great partnerships with and scholarship opportunities for Newman Guide recommended institutions. So Next, here we have study abroad programs. I think I might have mentioned this a little bit, but I have had many leaders come up to me and ask me if there's any room for collaboration with study abroad programs. I know there are many smaller institutions that maybe only have a few students that might want to participate. So this is an area ripe for collaboration here. The questions here: is our study abroad program often over or under capacity, obviously? And are there opportunities for shared classes, events, trips with other Newman Guide institutions? I know one thing, I was a little bit disappointed, well, for all the Christian folk, I wasn't disappointed in my abroad program. But something that would have been very fun, in my opinion, would be to sort of meet up and have some sort of event, holiday, something with the other Newman Guide institutions and their students who are all around Rome or wherever else your program might be. So, moving on here, we've also seen campus, resource, lease agreements. So what sort of programs could require these sort of land lease agreements, and which campuses are best equipped to provide spaces or facilities for these agreements? So just thinking about larger institutions, maybe CUA, with more urban campuses, they might have a lot to provide there. Okay, and then moving on to some ideas for the future that have been proposed to me as well. We have expanded education programs / teaching fellowships. I forget who it was that told me that it would be very nice to see an ACE style fellowship similar to, let me see. Yes, the Alliance for Catholic Education. I forgot what that meant. Like they have at Notre Dame. One of these style of fellowships for Newman Guide Network students. And then obviously there are many logistical questions there as well of, length. Could it be a 2-year program? Which sort of school could host this? What is the cost, etc. We also have internship opportunities working with Newman Guide recommended K-12 schools. Some institutions have expressed a need for interns for, what did I have here? I had curriculum development, any sort of administrative task that is not necessarily teaching, so there could be some opportunities to move in for those types of partnerships as well. And then next one is professional training / certification for career professionals. This sort of came up in my conversation with you, John, talking about how can we work together to better train career professionals and maybe come up with a pathway for extra certification and whatnot for career service departments. And questions here: what type of training would benefit career professionals the most? And again, some general logistics questions there as well. Next one here. We have joint marketing. So I had a couple of slides here on joint marketing. This is something that is very simple to think about. But what are ways that you all can expand on joint marketing opportunities? This is specifically for how can you market your Mission Fit graduates. This goes along with my conversations with the career professionals at these schools as well, is how can you as a group market a Newman Guide college graduate? What are the benefits of the education in general, but also what does a graduate look like? What do they have to give to an employer? So questions here: what would be the best system for cost sharing in marketing? I know that's a big question. And what are the common attributes of Newman Guide College graduates that can be marketed to employers? Moving on, joint marketing for Newman Guide education and higher education in general. Obviously, this is something that we do, promote Newman Guide education and Catholic education in general, but there is definitely some room for more joint campaigns from the schools, joint statements, events, etc. So also online consortium. This was an idea, again, I forget who brought this up, but they basically said this is an idea that they would be very, very excited about. However, obviously there are many, many challenges to go along with this. So again, room for discussion. Do you have any online courses that have an urgent need for enrollment? And how could this be structured? How can you overcome the challenge of modality? I know some schools, I believe, do not have any online courses, whatnot. So that would be a challenge to overcome. Next we have private sector and administrative service partnerships. For those who already have those, this would be more of an expansion. So which administrative private sector sort of back-end functions would be easiest to centralize? Let's see. So legal services, human resources support, things like that, where they could be easily shared between institutions, and there could be a partnership set up there as well. Let's see. Regional collaboration. So this is a very big one. We have just marketing within regions, events, and college tours. The college tour was one idea that there's been a lot of buzz around. So this is an idea proposed by one in the admissions group that involves the creation of a regional Newman Guide college tour. And the basic idea would be reduce the cost and effort of working with schools around the country to set up specific events and visits, because it's very difficult to do post 500 miles. So this could be setting up regional college fairs hosted by some of your institutions, or efficient programs for regional school visits as well. So next we have research partnerships. This one mainly refers to CUA as an R1 institution. There might be some ways that you all can partner with CUA for research purposes. Questions here: which grant opportunities are inaccessible to smaller institutions but attainable through partnerships with research universities, and which research expertise at smaller Newman Guide colleges is currently overlooked because of limited funding or infrastructure? And I believe we have one more here. Professional and licensure-based programs. This is very similar to the last one here. Just what are some needs that your institution has in this field? What are some things that your institution can share as well? So the questions here are, in general, what do we have that my fellow group members do not, and what do they have that I really want? And this is your opportunity now to go talk to them and bring these up as well. So just to wrap up, I just want to return briefly to the theme that we began with, which is E Pluribus Unum, out of many one. The institutions represented in this room are all different. You serve different student populations, operate in different regions, and offer different experiences to your students. But what unifies you is far more important: a shared commitment to providing an education rooted in truth, faith, and virtue. And again, these examples aren't meant to be a checklist. You need to do all of these, and they're certainly not meant to suggest that all of these can or will be implemented in a year or 3 years, whatever. Rather, my hope is that they've helped spark maybe a few ideas and encourage you to think a little bit differently about what collaboration within the Newman Guide Network could look like. And I have here in just a little while after a short break, but I'm not sure we're having a break after this. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, in a few moments now, you'll be going to meet with your working groups. So as you do, I encourage you to think not only about the challenges your institution faces, but also about the gifts your institution has to offer. And is there a partnership worth exploring, a resource worth sharing, and any idea, really, that deserves further conversation. So with that, I will let you go. Enjoy your break, and I hope your discussions this morning are very fruitful. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody their working group rooms. If you are in the following working groups, the academics working group will be in room 321. If you go out this door, you'll just do a hook